And I know Ken's got a lot of stuff from the state on the EMS side of the house, on how to handle stuff, and how not to handle stuff.
All right, you can highlight on that a little bit too. We're gonna formally, if we're rolling, get this started. Ron, okay. I'd like to officially call this meeting of the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to order for Thursday, November 13th. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Wagner will lead us in prayer.
Lord, we thank you again for another day that you've given us. We thank you for the change of seasons and the beauty that you create in each one. Thank you for the chance to discuss county business today. We ask for your guidance in all that we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Here.
Commissioner Zoller?
Here.
Commissioner Wagner?
Here.
Okay, let's have the signing of the journal, and I'd like to accept a motion to approve the DVD recording from our previous board session of Tuesday, November 4th, and that index.
Make a motion that we approve it as outlined.
Second?
Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved, thank you. Any adjustments to the agenda?
I have a couple additional resolutions for Board of Elections. that were on the
Okay.
agenda.
I'm going to just make mention of the Grover Pipeline public hearing. Anything else?
You might note on that Rover pipeline that they're now proposing two 42-inch pipelines side by side going through Seneca County. So that's a lot of pipeline.
Through 4 ambulances then.
Yeah, there you go.
Did we get a response from them? Didn't we send some sort of request of?
I can update on that too. What
Okay.
we know so far, okay. Anything else you want to add?
No.
All right, well, let's begin with Mr. Stahl, because he's here to talk to us about things with EMA and Next Generation 911.
Yeah, there's a
Andy
kind of
Moeller or
a,
whatever.
that's kind of a new term probably for everybody. Where we're at today with our 911 system, we're in what they call the phase 2, which we've always had landline 911, well, since we've done the enhanced 911 part we have. Previous to that, it was just a basic 911 you redialed and it was answered down to the police department. But we've had enhanced 911, we're at the phase 2 level, which includes all cellular companies. So you're able to call 911 from a cell phone, and it will plot the tower that it comes off of. It will try to give the location of the cell phone. The technology is pretty good. It works pretty decent, but it's not quite 100%. Like the landline stuff is really right on. That's really easy to do. But the improvements that they want to make now is they want to move this whole 911 system from a telephone company based 911 system to an IP based system. So you can't imagine the amount of telephone lines that it takes to keep this 911 stuff going. We shoot data everywhere to get addressing for the cell companies, to run this stuff back and forth to our PSAPs, our public safety answering points. We've got 4 in the county. We got Tiffin PD, we got Seneca County Sheriff's Office, we got Fostoria Police, and we have a whole complete backup system at the EOC. So, and it takes data lines, it takes T1s, it takes expensive phone lines to move that all over the place. This new IP-based system that the state's actually proposing will, once the calls reach our equipment or the state equipment, depending on how this happens, everything goes on network from that point on. And it really offers some enhancements of what the systems can do. Probably one of the biggest ones and one of the first noticeable ones will be texting. You'll be able to actually get your phone out and text the 911 operator, you know. That's kind of cool, isn't it, Jeff? I know you text a lot, so I better mention that. But if you think about that in different situations where maybe you couldn't speak, or maybe you didn't want to speak because of something that was happening around you, you could throw a text out to 911, and 911 can text you back. And 911 knows who you are too, so don't think that you can just send them goofy texts like everybody else does, because they're going to find you. But that and down the road, they're talking the capability of, you could actually take a video, maybe of a crime happening or something like that, and you could actually forward that into the 911 center. So by going with the IP type system, it offers all that type of neat stuff that will really be helpful for everybody. The state
PSAPs wouldn't change under that scenario, right?
the locations?
Yeah,
No,
okay.
no. Back a couple years ago, you probably remember more, better than I do, Jeff, when they passed that last stuff. Was that since you left?
They probably did one since I left. We did one when I was there, but
They rejuvenated some 911 funding that the county gets and addressed this IP issue, and they established a subcommittee at the state level. And I thought they were maybe a little bit farther along than what they are. I was thinking that we could maybe start to move ahead on some of this stuff, but they haven't even made they haven't even made their recommendations back to the legislature yet to make some action on the recommendations. And you know, it's like, how are you gonna do this? How are you gonna fund it? Where's it gonna be? Where's all this IP stuff go? Is it gonna be run by the state? How much is it gonna cost? And how much funding is gonna be provided to do all this stuff? None of those things have been done yet. I was hoping to get our organizations together, which were by law, we're required to have a 911 planning committee, which is the president of the Board of Commissioners and the two mayors of the two populous cities in the county. And in Seneca County, that's pretty easy because we only have two cities. That's the 911 Planning Committee. The 911 Planning Committee appoints a technical advisory committee, which includes a whole host of people to be sitting on that. And that's really who puts the nuts and bolts together of the plan of how we want to run 911 in the county. I mean, it's the sheriff, it's me, it's the police chiefs, the fire chiefs, probably Ken, telephone companies, all kinds of people. Once the planning committee is rejuvenated by resolution from the commissioners, the planning committee has 30 days to meet, so there's some timelines on that where once you do it, you gotta move. After thinking about it and after gathering more information over the last couple of weeks, I'm not sure we're ready to do that yet. I thought maybe the state stuff would be more together than what it is, and here the committee hasn't even recommended anything yet, so I might be a little premature, but nonetheless, I wanted to come up and explain that, you know, down the road, we need to look at this. There's probably gonna be some mandates on it, I'm guessing. Other counties are just going out and doing it, just putting their systems in without any idea of maybe what the state requirements are gonna be, and I'm not so sure that's a good idea, because this is expensive stuff. So I'm thinking that maybe for now, just maybe consider this stop an informational stop, and it's like, you know, I'll be back. And we'll have to get on it then and get the things going and get all the committees in place, but I think I need to be armed with a little more information on everything before we have to take that giant step to do that. But it's really cool stuff, and it's really kind of looking forward to that.
and we're looking forward to having you lead us through it, too, or lead them through it.
You know, I
You need any citizens on that committee?
We do. We do. I got his name down already. I was around when we did the original one back in '89. I got to do that, so I've been involved in all of them right from the get-go. So yeah, it's really crazy how all that stuff works. It was crazy then. It's even crazier now.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of behind the scenes on 911. It's not just the telephone answer. There's a lot of things that have to happen. And Mike and I take care of all that. I always jokingly say that we do everything from 911 except answer the phone. Fred, you brought up the bullseye. I don't know if you can make it to the meeting Tuesday, Homeland Security. That would be a good one maybe to attend. I'm sure that we'll get into some discussions there. At our last one, Dr. Fitzpatrick was there and gave us a real nice talk, some different things in reference to all that was going on. And I think everybody kind of felt a little relieved after walking out there. It sounded a lot better than maybe what we hear in the media all the time.
Tuesday at noon?
Yep. About 11:30 for pizza.
Yeah, I know, gotta bring our own pot.
Jolly's is closed too, so.
Yeah.
No root beer for the car.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the poor car.
Moral of the story is don't go to Jolly's and get 2 quarts of root beer and set it beside on the seat.
With his driving anyway.
Yeah. And when they get done and lick the seat. I can't believe I said that.
Indeed.
The book of quotable quotes. Somebody will write that. You're a journalist.
I'm gonna come up here more often, I tell you that.
All right, so we can move on, right? Thank you, Dan. And it's not quite 10:15, but hey, Ken, you ready to roll before we start on anything else?
Sure, we can
Dan's
talk about,
11:30 or 12.
we can talk about EMS, that's
11:30 or 12.
about all I'm good at, so we can do that.
11:30.
Okay, let's talk about EMS then.
All right, well, I know you guys have had some meetings recently, so I think I'll let you lead the discussion, but I'll start with some of the positive things that have been happening here lately. A couple of weeks ago, you guys probably read in the paper, everybody read, that the levies that we put forward, the joint ambulance districts that put forward passed by a wide margin. So Attica, Venice, and Reed now have a joint ambulance district, and they're meeting regularly. And they actually reached out to me last night to meet with them again on Monday. They're discussing some more organizational matters that they're doing, talking to neighboring townships in Huron County, and some of the things that they're going to do as far as their funding and as far as reimbursing their folks. So that's a positive start, and they're meeting regularly, and they have a lot of activity. We have a class starting there. Actually, I already did start. I'm not exactly sure how many students were at the first initial meeting. There's supposed to be 14. I'm not sure if that many showed, but some of those are from Bloom Township, some are from AVR, and a couple are spread out throughout the county. So we're having pretty good success attracting recruits. NBS, which is New Big Spring, Seneca, they also formed a joint ambulance district with a levy that passed a couple of weeks ago, and they've been meeting regularly and having good success there as well. And I'm not exactly sure where they are in the process, but they have formed and they are meeting. With Bloom Township, I know they reached out just yesterday to the prosecutor's office to gather the material to begin a joint ambulance district in that area. So that's encouraging. I know that Jackson Township, Liberty, and Bettsville have also done the same thing as far as reached out to the prosecutor's office for guidance on that. Still haven't had a whole lot of communication from Republic or Scipio Township. Where we are now with Green Springs, I believe they made their decision, and the vast majority of the folks that are active there have not really been very active since that decision has been made. Crunching some numbers, the numbers look a lot worse than I first anticipated as far as their in-service, out-of-service ratio. So I'll let you guys tell me what you found out at your meetings, because I know that there were some here recently, and I think that's why I'm here. So I gave you the good news, so now I'll let you guys talk to me.
And I know one of the meetings, everyone questions, I guess, I don't know if there was a meeting on it, because it wasn't anything I attended, was about the training reimbursement.
Yes.
And I know I was thinking that we ought to continue that the same as playing out everywhere across the county.
I agree.
So did they come to a conclusion? They were asking, should there be a little bit of skin in the game, I guess was their terminology, from the person who's willing to take the training? Because currently, we provide the training, it's paid up front by the local entity they represent.
Right.
And then once successful completion of the course, it's submitted, they're reimbursed from the county.
Right. Well, back in 2008, we had discussion here in this office about what will make it more attractive for recruiting and retention. And I think the only draw that we offer, because we don't pay people, is free training. So to turn around and then renegotiate that deal midstream, I believe is probably, I don't know, it's at least poor form if it's not necessarily not necessarily a wrong thing to do, but I think that it's a bait and switch if we do that to the individuals that come and say, hey, I donate you 2 years of service of my time, and you pay for my education up front. Now, the good idea about this and what we negotiated years ago was there's absolutely no risk to the political entities, because if the individual comes on board and they go through whatever EMT school they want to go through and they pass with flying colors, as soon as they graduate, they get a little card that says, I'm an EMT. They show me that along with the canceled check from the local government, and we reimburse it 100%. If they fail to achieve that, for whatever reason, there's a lot of reasons why people don't complete school, the local government entity would call us and say, hey, Joe Snuffy didn't pass EMT school, what do we do now? Well, the first thing we do is we send a letter to Joe Snuffy that says you owe us, at this point, I think it's about $900. $900 for EMT school, and if they ignore us, then the prosecutor sends a letter. And if they ignore that, the clerk of courts gets involved and we use collections. We've been successful every single time that we've ever done that. So to us, there's a 0% chance that the local government will lose money. But asking the individual to pay up front will add a layer of complexity, meaning that if $200 comes here and then $100 from that township and $400 from this township, $300 from that village, it'll add, instead of having to reimburse one check, we got to reimburse 4, 5, or 6 checks to several different entities, and it makes it an accounting nightmare. So the resolution that was signed in 2009, I think is a good way to do it. I think discussion amongst that is a good idea, and you guys know as well as probably a lot better than I do that you can just change your resolution whenever you want to. And if that's something we want to do, I think we've got a lot of people out there, 14 right now, that are in school that are living under that. And to change it for one entity who, according to all reports, have no interest in being a part of Seneca County EMS a year from now, I think we would be remiss.
I did meet with the mayor of Green Springs, not a formal meeting, but we talked at the Veteran of the Year event, and I explained the no risk thing, and I think they feel that they're very engaged at this point in looking for answers over there. I think we need to just give that some time and let it play out. I mean, I think they feel that they're very, very engaged. They may have some disagreements on what way to go, but I'm not comfortable jumping in and making any changes right now. They're working at it.
Okay.
That's my.
So if anybody enters training over there from that area, are they going to follow the existing of what we have?
Well, I think that's from our perspective.
I mean, I guess I don't.
The resolution.
Okay, all right.
Now, if they come to us and say, we'd like you to change the resolution, then we consider it, but
So we'll assume
as of
it's-
right now, we speak through our resolutions, so that's what we're living under.
My problem with the whole issue is it's been a year in the making. And the taxpayers, the county commissioners have invested roughly, about $200,000 in a vehicle that's sitting over there that is out of service 65 to 75% of the time. So as far as a prudent use of taxpayers' funds, to put a vehicle over there that's just sitting over there rusting away just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. And I understand what you're saying, Commissioner Wagner, is we need to give them a little time. We've given them a year, and we still have no resolution. And I've spoken with the mayor, and I've spoken with some individuals from the township trustees, and they seem to be pretty adamant that they want to go it alone. They want a 24/7 type thing, and that the residents of their communities are willing to accept a levy that would pay for that sort of service. And if that's what they want to do, they have the prerogative. They can do whatever they want to do, and I'm fine with that. My concern is we as commissioners are investing money, taxpayers' money in Seneca County, for a vehicle that sits over there 65 to 75% of the time. It just sits there and does nothing.
So the
I think that's it's a poor use of county funds. And I understand they're working on it, how long do they have to work on it? I think we need, and I hate to put a gun in anybody's head, I'm not trying to do that. They can do whatever they wanna do, but I think we need to set a time frame. 3 months, you gotta make a decision, are you gonna come with us or not? And if you're gonna come with us, there has to be a defined plan, how we can utilize that service more than 25% of the time. Sorry.
And I guess I would agree that I think there ought to be a timeline on it so we know, but most importantly right now is their part of this equation is the personnel. Ours is the equipment. We have the equipment sitting there, not being used a lot. So are they able to, under the direction it's going, you had indicated a lot of the volunteers are less willing to step up and get on the schedule because they understand that discussions are looking towards, pretty positively looking towards going to,
They feel as though they're
Private.
not getting any support locally.
okay. So
Those are their words.
where, I mean, do you have a point, do you think, is it gonna be based on that out-of-service schedule that we make a decision if we see it go one way or another? Or is it going to help anything, I don't know, to tell them, you know, we wanna see how your schedule is performing, and it's a liability for us.
I agree it's a liability.
I mean,
I
it's
don't
sitting
know-
there and,
I don't know of any other way to look at it other than through the raw data that is the out-of-service schedule, which
has
we
improved.
provide as,
But-
it hasn't really improved.
No.
If we really look at the numbers throughout the year from January 1 till to this date, the numbers haven't improved. There's been some improvement over short periods of time, but as an average, Commissioner Zeller's right. They've been out of service more than they've been in.
And as far as the reimbursement, I am strongly against putting a special deal for Green Springs. Whatever we do for the county, and the program is that the townships or the municipalities pay for the training, and once upon completion, that we 100% reimburse it.
Right.
And I don't think we need to change that, because I think with the 7 squads that we have out there, and what is it, 15 townships and
Yes.
counties, for us to do something for here and not over here, and I think that's
I agree
just
with
gonna complicate matters. We have to stay with some uniformity.
I agree.
Yeah, I think we have to stay uniform, absolutely. The thing that we got to remember though is, we just had that big meeting in April of this year. Did
Right.
anybody dream in April of this year we'd be where we're at?
No, I didn't.
All these ambulance, the ambulance districts that have come about, the 2 levies that were passed, class of 14 volunteers, did anybody dream we'd be at this point?
I did not.
No.
And I'm not in a hurry to pull a rug out from anybody who's in the middle of working on something. What I think we need, and I agree with you, Commissioner Zeller, is an actual concrete, hard and fast plan of what it is they're trying to get accomplished. Because I speak to the volunteers. I don't do a lot of talking to the political entities over there by design. But the guys that I talk to tell me they don't feel supported, and they feel like they're being threatened by the political entity that says, well, we'll give you as much time as we think you need, and we're not gonna do anything for you except watch. The guys tell me that it feels like they're being watched to fail, and it's not a very good, comfortable environment to try and get anything accomplished in. Those guys are doing the best that they can. They're pouring their hearts and souls into it. They're getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning and going and taking care of people they've never seen before. That takes a special kind of person, and I don't think anybody questions their dedication. What we need is support, and we need them, the political subdivisions of that area, to put as much effort into the local volunteers as they're putting into trying to find a way to replace them. And I'll step off my soapbox.
I suppose, just throwing things out, maybe the best thing to do is to schedule a meeting with one commissioner, you, and the leaders over there to figure out where we want to go.
I've already asked for that with, where's Bill from? What township is he?
Adamstown.
Adams Township, the mayor, myself, and possibly the EMS coordinator they have over there.
Russ Rogers.
Yeah, okay, and I've asked for that, and they're trying to set it up, we get together next week. And I mean, I'm open for anything other than to let a $200,000 investment sit there and not be utilized. I'm not for that.
I think if you guys recall correctly, at the April 5th meeting, the very first thing that I put up on one of the first slides was how much out of service is too much, and what do we do about it if it gets out of hand?
Yeah.
Nobody ever answered that question from any of the political entities, and nobody can answer that question. What I'm-
75% is unacceptable.
Okay, well, what I'm presenting to you is there's 7,608 hours in a year. They've been out of service. Well, they've been in service 2,100 hours.
I
Total.
think Ken should be at that meeting too.
Oh, yeah, oh, I'm sorry, absolutely.
So,
And I'll be glad if any one of the other commissioners would prefer there be, that may be more versed at it. Yeah,
I know.
I'm just trying to give you guys the facts, the data, the hard, cold truth as it is.
We're just looking at it different ways. We're looking at it one way here, and they're looking at it a little different way. They're trying to do the right thing. They're interested in making it happen. So I think we just need to get together and come up with a plan then perhaps.
but at some point, I mean, this has been, what, 8 months, 9 months? At some point, you gotta
Right.
do something. You can't, and that's what concerns me. In the meantime, we are not utilizing county assets than what we should.
Well,
And it's an insurance policy, they have it there, but if there's nobody to take the
Right.
insurance policy and run with it when the call comes, so at what point is the ratio of the liability risk to the availability, what ratio is it that we have to say, we can't no longer continue to do this? So I applaud them for looking into it, taking what they need to do to figure things out. But if the volunteer thing is getting worse versus better, for a number of reasons, that's a red flag
it is.
that we have to look at.
Right, and we're putting pressure on the neighboring subdivision, political subdivisions, the neighboring townships and villages. But if we remove that squad, we've put pressure upon everybody around.
Absolutely. Yep.
So,
You've made it harder for everybody else.
I don't think we should do that lightly. If we do make the determination that removal of the squad is something that needs to be done, I think it needs to be on a permanent basis until we can create an agreement that satisfies both parties. Because currently, we're not satisfying both parties with the agreement that we currently have in hand.
Ken, in the other 6 squads in the county, what is the average out of service? Let's just call Green Springs somewhere between 65 and 75. Let's just say 70% of the time they're out. What would be the average?
The next worst one is 50%, 40 to 50%. And then after that, everybody's in service between 80 and 100% in service. So, Bascom is 99.9%. They miss an hour here and there while shifts change. New Riggle, same way. Attica has a couple hours a week. Bloomville, a few hours a month. Republic, a few hours a month. Green Springs and Bettsville are our two, obviously both at the very north of the county. For some reason, we just have a hard time keeping volunteers in that area.
Yeah, but Bettsville, they're working on fixing the problem of joining the Hopewell. So, I mean.
Well, they're gonna join with Jackson Township and Liberty Township, Bettsville, and they'll form a district, and they'll start reimbursing people. I believe that'll turn around. It won't be today, tomorrow, yet, it'll be a year or so, but we'll see some turnaround. And they're not, by any means, gone. They're there at least 50% of the time. So, we're doing well, and I agree with you, Mr. Wagner. 7, 8 months ago, I never thought we'd be where we are. So I think we've done a lot. I just think that as things move, we gather momentum, and I think if we don't stay to the momentum, we'll tend to bog down.
Yeah, let's just have a face-to-face meeting with one commissioner, you and the leaders over there, and then it's out of the limelight, people can talk freely, and we can bring it back to the board then. And I don't care whether it's you or Holly or me, it doesn't matter to me, whoever it is, just so it
Draw
gets
straws,
done.
I'm fine.
Well, the more support we get, the better likelihood we have of success. That's all I'm trying to say.
Because we're all shooting for the same thing, I think we can find common ground in there if we just
I agree.
pursue it.
Any decisions that you guys have or any meetings that you come up with, just let me know. I'll be in attendance.
Okay.
So they are coordinating the meeting, or you are?
I have spoke with Adam 2 days ago, and that we were gonna get together the end of this week, and he couldn't, so he's trying to coordinate the whole thing, and Ken and I spoke yesterday or whatever, and so that's where I stand at. Once we set it together now, reach out to you guys if one of you wanna handle it versus me, or however it is, I don't care, I'll be glad
Yep.
to do it, and I understand, I hear you loud and clear. Commissioner Wagner is, yeah, I mean, we want this thing to work, we want it to work for everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
But-
And I'm just a little concerned what shows up in the paper tomorrow, that we're questioning their commitment, and we're questioning their judgment, and sometimes things come across in ways that we don't intend. and-
I don't think it's so much we're questioning
I know,
it as
we're
much
not.
as
We're not.
what they're doing. It has had an impact on the volunteer part of it, hasn't helped the volunteer part of it, which, again, they gotta do what they gotta do, but that brings up an issue because of the liability aspect for us. Because that volunteer part of it, they are not our people, so we can try to help recruit, but we really have no say of how they choose to communicate and work with those people. They have to do that.
And again, changing, I think we're all in agreement, changing the way that, because that was one of the issues on how to pay for training, compensate. I don't think any of us, what I'm gathering, what we're talking about here today, we want to keep the format that we currently have, and that's kind of a direction from this board. And I totally support that.
Okay.
Thank you for coming up and for everything you've done, because there's a lot more successes than there is any negativity coming out of what's been rolled out in the last year and a half, and
Thank you.
a lot of good successes that like I said, none of us would have thought we'd be there by now, so that's
Monumental
great.
task, but it will make Seneca County a better place.
I agree. Thank you.
On that note, maybe it's time that we go to Attica and New Regal with the agreement, because we talked about once they got settled, we need a new agreement signed, since they are a district now, no longer the entities that were on that contract. Maybe one of us should go to like their next meeting and say, hey, we sent this draft to you before the April 5th meeting. Now that you're established, can you consider it, look at
Right.
it, and maybe one of us can attend
Yeah,
one of their
we
next
wouldn't
meetings.
expect them to sign it right
No,
then,
no,
but be
yep.
there to answer questions
And
and,
I think a counterpoint to that, which is why that's really important, is the current agreement that was written back in the 80s, 70s, I guess, says that the county will negotiate all contracts and anything like that. Once these guys became their own political entity, they can do that.
yeah,
So we have to create a contract or an agreement that gives them that latitude. I realize that's all legal mumbo jumbo that the prosecutor will have to come up with, but I think that's important to get that verbiage right so that they can do what they do to do business.
right. And like I said, and just get it updated in all the other ways it needs to be updated, and the fresh names on it, so everybody starting off, understands where everything's at and who's responsible for what.
And everything we do with these districts now, we don't want to seem pushy. We're here to help.
Right.
Here's the new agreement, you make whatever changes you need, we'll see what we can do.
And I think it'll help us both in the end. It'll be an agreement that the county and the district will mutually benefit from. I think that's the point.
Yeah, right.
So can you work with Ken to know when those meetings are, and to give us a chance to congratulate and thank them for what they've done to date, as they're at that point to go on with the new one?
Absolutely, we'll get together on that.
Okay, great,
Thank you.
thank you. Well, we'll go back to the toughness agenda and start with the old business. I had added the Rover pipeline. We had gotten some communications from the gentleman who's been reaching out to us, and he was sending us what the federal public hearing announcements are for the pipeline. The hearing dates and locations have been announced. The closest one to us is Wednesday, December 3rd in New Washington, 6 p.m. at Buckeye Central High School Auditorium. And I have the address here if anybody needs that. There is also another one December 2nd in Defiance at Defiance College, also 6 p.m. So he had sent that, some other information and documents. We have maps here about stuff. Commissioner Wagner's mentioning some things about some changes that it's 2 pipelines instead of 1. I don't know about all those details, but this presentation will be summarizing the filing and the plan that they have. And then at some point, if there's changes to that, they indicate that they'll be back to talking to the landowners and the communities to address any findings. Then after that would be the next step, so that information just out there to share with those. Board of Elections, is that under the resolutions then?
Yeah, we
Okay.
do that new business.
Other old business we have is building and grounds application for the courthouse lawn.
Yep. There's just
An update, I
seen,
suppose?
yep, just did receive the application for the Winterfest. And, I've got response back from sheriff. He doesn't feel that it's necessary for him to have the security there. And I got a response from Judge Schuff and Judge Kelbley. The only thing we wanna make sure is whatever fence they're putting up, she has scheduled with Dean, so she can map it out to make sure. But I think they're gonna be working on that yet this week to start that, so, all I needed was a little bit of information about the fence, but I told her other than that, everything else was fine, so they could plan to proceed, so I just wanted to give you an update on that, and everybody had approved that, so.
Okay.
So what's the dates of Winterfest? When is it gonna be? I think it's
Winterfest
the
it's like the
kickoff is
first.
gonna be coincide with Victorian weekend, isn't it?
Yep. The 5th, 6th, and 7th is the Tiffin Winterfest. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then the ice skating rink will be only open on weekends through, they have down, December and January. Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon
Yep,
for the months of December and January.
yep.
There will be some sort of security there. It's maintained by them, not by us, though.
Correct, yep. And Dean was getting with them to see, where this hut's gonna be, and so they know where to plug the electric into and everything, so everything seems to be going okay.
All the county's providing is just the lawn and a little bit of electricity.
Yeah, for lights for that, yep.
Next item listed is airport.
We had a couple things, I think, the last time regarding the airport. One was for some weed spraying. I talked to Brad about it. Expressed our concern last year, in the previous year, we'd only paid 1 year. He said there was a verbal agreement between the previous board to pay to do weeding twice a year. And I said, well, when this board's been here, it's only been once a year. And he said they did it in a board session. We went through Bennett's and we went through some of our videos, and we can't find it in session where they've agreed to that. But told him our concern with, we need to know before the stuff is done instead of getting an invoice to paying it. So I think he was okay with that. And if we only wanted him to do one, then to let him know. And I mean, if it's necessary, I don't have a problem with it. We just need to know, and he needs to have authorization from us, because $2,000 for weeds that we didn't have appropriated for that.
Right.
Does Brad put a budget?
And I was just gonna-
It comes to us every year.
So I was just gonna ask the same thing.
He does it?
No,
Yeah.
we usually put 25,000 in for emergencies, because we own the tractor, and then the anything that happens to the runways are ours, lights. And plus we pay for the radio, I think it's Fink radio, and the AWAS system. So it's pretty minimal what we pay, so we usually put 25,000, and we don't normally use it. But we have for the last couple of years used it, and then, so.
Okay.
That's what we usually do for the airport. And you also asked me to talk to Derek. I talked to Derek and Brad about the house. And the current grant is worded with the tearing down of that house. So to change that, we will lose the grant. We'd have to start over.
That would be a
So,
problem.
That would be a problem. So this is something that I had mentioned to Brad. Brad said he was gonna maybe get with one of you and discuss future, if there's another house. They said in here they didn't know if there was gonna be any more houses they would need to do that to, but all the grant paperwork that we've signed and we moved forward included the demolition of that house. And changing that would change the grant, so we'd lose that grant.
Yeah. Okay. Sheriff's chillin', the sheriff's chiller.
I forwarded you some emails that we're getting from Corsa. We had a apparent surge or lightning strike to the chiller out to the jail. The initial quote, the company came in and said, and they recommended that the unit be replaced. The company that came in to look at it said, yeah, we could fix it for 60. It'll be about 130 to replace the unit, being it's an old unit with the, and I don't know, the R12 or R, grade. Their recommendation is replacing it because it only has a 25 year life anyway, and we're at that. Corsa is, as of the last time I spoke with her, they are not approving the replacement. They feel it's, that the repairing it for 60 grand is sufficient. So,
Okay, listen, let me ask you this, can we put the difference to it?
yes,
To get a new one? So
Yes.
they'll give us the 60 grand and we gotta put another 70 grand to it to get it replaced.
yes,
And it's got 25-year life expectancy and it's been there 25 years or longer.
yeah, that was put in, is it 22 years now?
94 when the jail was built, I don't. 92.
I was thinking 92 or 90, yeah, so it's 20 plus years. And like I said, the mechanics that came in to check out the equipment, that was their recommendation. And we've had 2 adjusters come up from Corsa, an LGW, and then their others was, I don't know what the other company was called. So we've had 2 adjusters up here. I haven't heard a report from the second adjuster that was coming up, but the first adjuster was saying that he thought it would just be okay to repair it. For $60,000, replace it, and we know we're gonna be good for another 25 years. We fix it, it may just get us another 2 years, or,
I think there's no question we need to replace it. And if I was the insurance company, I'd only pay the 62, but I think we need to press them
Yeah.
for the full amount. And if we don't get it, we'll make up the difference, would be my opinion.
Yeah, that's, I was wondering if there's some type of appeal process to what their first response was.
yeah, and I'm still pushing them on this, but, their building is a little different. Their furnace and their air, for circulation purposes, run year-round. So the chiller being down isn't necessarily hurting the system, but it's not running efficiently. So that's why we kind of need to know. I mean, if you think we need to replace it, we'll replace it. I just need to let them know to get the stuff ordered to get it going. And I will still,
Yeah, I'd still push it with them as far as you think you can, but they probably are reasonable in not replacing it since it is at its life expectancy.
yeah.
But I
But we-
wouldn't
we-
tell them that, you know.
No,
it's a power
absolutely
surge,
not.
We weren't planning on replacing it. We would be replacing it, but it hadn't got zapped.
Right, we would have.
And they've always been real good at replacing all of the other equipment. We've had issues, obviously lightning claims out there before, and they've always done replacements, because with lightning claims, you don't know what gremlins is gonna get into the rest of the equipment. We've already seen that numerous times, and of course, has always been really good about that, but I don't know if they've gotten pressure from their insurance companies, they're getting it through to
Yeah.
double check these claims a little bit better, but we'll keep pushing it, but
Yeah. They're just doing their due diligence and we'll do ours.
yeah. So I will have them get moving on that, and we'll still argue with Corsa about that.
Okay. Parking lot bids.
Earlier in the year, we had quotes for the sheriff's lot and the juvenile probate court lot down there. But since it was mid-year and it was not an emergency to get it done, you guys had talked about doing that as a project next year, and we've got those numbers put in a budget. Do you wanna go ahead and try to bid it now, get some figures locked in for this year, or wait till next year? I think it was one of the construction companies said they wouldn't mind if we bid it now, that way they're guaranteed work when the season started. And I think with our project last year, that's what you had recommended, Tanya didn't know if you wanted to
I don't
move
think it
forward
can
with bids
hurt.
now, or,
It can't hurt if we don't like the bids, we can reject them and bid it again in the spring.
No, makes
We're,
sense.
we're gonna have recycled money to be able to do it?
yes,
Okay.
just enough for those two projects. We'll have to probably not do much with any other recycled stuff. We'll still have the CD&D money, which is, 15,000 coming in, but
Yeah, yeah.
those will cover, that'll cover those.
You know, we talked about keeping up our property, we've done a lot of parking lots these last, if we do these in these last several years.
Yep.
They're really looking nice.
Yep. So,
I'd say let's go ahead and plan to bid it.
okay, well, Tanya, get
I
those,
think
get those around. I think that's all old business I had.
Okay, thank you. Again, with the new business, starting with bill vouchers.
Okay, I have bill vouchers 11 and 12. I have a resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the general fund, moving $552.75 from contract services to equipment. I have resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment to be made to the EMA Fund 102, moving $2,156 from contract repairs to salaries, $437 from advertising to salaries, $736.24 from workers' comp to salaries, $100 from flex spend to salaries, and $510.83 from hospitalization to salaries. Total moved $3,940.07. I have a supplement to the permit appropriations for the EMA Fund 102, putting $5,059.93 into salaries, $850 into PRS, for a total $5,909.93. I have resolution authorizing a fund advance for the general fund to the EMA Fund 102. This is the amount of $15,079.40 from our advances out in general fund to the EMA advances in. And I can, Dan's here, he can give you a little brief update on what that's for.
Been working for quite a few years now on the outdoor warning siren projects around the county. And this year I was able to get a grant for Clinton Township. It's a 50-50 grant. And the deal that I cut with the townships was, hey, I'll do all the legwork. You guys pay the other half. Of course, they agreed to it. Got the grant, we're ready to do it. Because of end-of-the-year issues, it's the auditor's office suggested, if we could get you guys just to advance us the money, and then next year when everything's a done deal, I get the state money back, Clinton gives us a check, and we'll pay the whole thing back. So it's putting a new
Be at the firehouse?
Station 1 there on State Route 101.
Okay.
Yep. So that makes the 10th new one that I've put up the last few years. Getting that all in order.
Okay, I have a supplement to the permit appropriations for the Public Assistance Fund 030, putting $39,000 into hospitalization. I have a resolution authorizing the amendment to the real estate purchasing agreement for the Tice property on behalf of the Seneca County Airport. I have resolution amending the board's orders of November 4th, 2014, Journal 90, page 529, resolution for the permanent appropriations for the Sheriff's Commissary Fund. It was put into contract services and it needs to be into other expense. I have a resolution authorizing an amendment to the agreement with CCAO Service Corps for the natural gas and electricity program participation pending prosecutor's approval. And if you want me to go into the Board of Elections?
Might as well.
I met with the Board of Elections and they have the grants approved for the HAVA grant to get their poll workers' money reimbursed, but we won't get it. So they're asking us to advance it, kind of like what the EMA fund is doing. They're asking us to advance it so they can get their poll workers paid on time. And then once the money comes in, they'll reimburse the county. So talked to him about that yesterday and told him that we do that for other departments, so there wasn't a problem with us doing that. So I have a resolution authorizing a fund advance from the general fund to the Help America Vote Grant Fund 214, moving $2,300 from the advance out to the HAVA advances in. And they have another request for an appropriation adjustment within the general fund, moving 4,000 from supplies to contract services. They were having issues with their printer that was causing blotches in the machine, and they were on a time frame, so they used the service that they got the contract with to actually do the printing. So, which they have normally have paid for out of supplies, they had them print them for them. They needed in contract services, so they're moving that. And those are the two extras I had.
Do I have a motion on the resolutions as presented?
Make a motion that we approve them
Second.
as discussed.
A motion and a second. Any comments, questions, concerns on anything that was included? They mentioned to me yesterday, they appreciate you going over and speaking with them the other morning, the Board of Elections, and going over all that stuff with them, and that was extremely helpful to them.
And we're getting some of their concerns and stuff fixed, little things they needed done.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Wagner,
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller,
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy.
Yes. All approved. Thank you. That'll bring us to citizens' comments. Anybody have anything they'd like to comment on?
Where do I sign?
Okay, seeing none. Do I have nothing else? Come for the good of the order. Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion that we
Second.
adjourn.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. 10:52, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Gotta get the mic.
Yeah, you're gonna make it.
Huh?
I think there's a few more to sign.